So today's haircut is going to be inspired by Lyle of the Menendez brothers, Lyle Menendez. And this is based off of the Netflix series or Netflix show called Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story, which is incredible. If you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. It's truly amazing. Really opens up your mind to what happened with that family and the whole case. But I got a lot of requests to do Lyle's hair, so that's what we're doing today. Now, if you do want to understand the history of his hair, because in the show, and even in real life, the hair is a big topic because supposedly he, and this is confirmed in real life, he wasn't happy with him losing his hair, and he would buy a bunch of wigs and kept trying that and didn't like them, and so supposedly he did wear wigs, but it's very vague. But this is the haircut that we're doing, and I got a lot of requests for it today. So this is 100% straight hair. It's 100% human hair. The length in the front is actually already pretty good right in through here. So what I'm going to do is actually just kind of bring up some of the length throughout the ear area here, the sides, and lightly trim up the back. So what I'm going to do is, and I have this approach to hair cutting is, I'm going to cut my first cut right here, right above the ear, okay? And sometimes when I'm cutting hair, I want to take the approach of, what's the first thing that stands out to me? What's the first thing that I want to, cut? And I'm like, you know what? I want to just take these sides up a little bit shorter right in through here. So that's what I'm doing here. And from what it looks like, in the show, his hair was just basically covering the top of the ear. So you know what? When you're cutting hair, there's nothing wrong with starting off in an area where you feel that's where you want to start off. And again, this is, if you're a client watching this and you're asking, what do I say to my barber? What do you say to my hairstylist? I don't know. Just show them a photograph, Like, I can't, just because you name a name of a haircut doesn't mean that you are going to get the result you're looking for. Everyone's so hung up on names of haircuts. Well, I can guarantee you that you can call something, a haircut something, and name it something, and if the hairstylist or the barber or whoever can't execute it, then guess what? That's like, doesn't matter what you called it, It's not going to look right. So that's really what it comes down to, and that's why I would say don't focus so much on the name of the haircut, focus more on the result. The result is what you're looking for. So I would just say, show them photographs. Don't be afraid to save photos to your phone. Don't be afraid to show them pictures, all that stuff. Because if they're cutting your hair and they can't even look at a photograph, right, and try to duplicate that photograph, then what's the point of you even going to them? It's like, just don't waste your money. So right now I'm cutting around the ear. And again, this is the approach that I want to take first, right? I want to take this approach first because I felt that I saw this mannequin head and I said, you know what? I need to cut this thing right here. I want to just take this on right in the front here to kind of get me in a good flow right into here. And already you can see, it's starting to look better and it's starting to look a lot more realistic. And then I'm going to go back and make some tweaks. So it's always cutting and tweaking, making sure everything is balanced, right? You want to make sure the haircut's balanced. You want to make sure that the layers are done properly, all of it. It's all one big approach to the haircut. So now already I'm starting to see, that kind of, it's looking like this already, like his hair. Lyle was played by the actor Nicholas Alexander Chavez. So a really, really great film, and I think you should all definitely watch it. Now that I'm done with the sides, okay, I can work my way into the back area and the nape area. Now the neck is probably about where I would want it anyway. So if you do want this look, I would say it's about right in through here. But I'm going to take it up just a little bit shorter, and I'm cutting it right there, right? I'm just going to raise that up a little bit here. I'll try to stand out of the way so you can see. So you can see if you were to try to attempt this yourself, it would be a lot more difficult to cut the back of your hair like this. And if you are trying to attempt this on somebody else, you know, like, oh, I want to cut my husband's hair like it's my boyfriend's hair or whatever, then cool. That's awesome. Then hopefully this will help you. So now as we go to the back, one thing I think that's important is, you know, the layered shape. And I always like to approach these haircuts in a few different ways. I either start right here in the middle, or I'll start like in the corners, or it depends on what mood I'm in, to be honest with you. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here in this corner, and I'm going to bring the hair out like this, and I'm going to establish my length. So he does have a little bit of length in through here, right into the back. It's not like it's a super short tapered where, you know, we're using clippers or anything, but it is, you know, it has some flow to it. So I'm holding the hair out from the head, and I'm probably cutting it to where the length is going to be about 1.5 inches, no more than 2 inches in length throughout the back here. And then what's going to happen is I want to make sure that I could still maintain some fullness in through here, right? The fullness is really, really important. I'm going to push this out of the way, and here's where I want to connect these two. So you can see the side here, and there it is. There's all that hair right there from the side, and all I'm simply doing is connecting this. And that's why I like to do that sometimes, is start off on the sides, because it really sets me up to create a balanced haircut. And just like that, right away, we've got this whole side here connected. All right, just like that. It's already blended and connected right into this area. And now it's just a matter of following the head shape, right? It's following the head shape and how I'm going to continue to cut this. So I'm going to work my way like this. And I'm going to work in somewhat of a horizontal, or I'm sorry, vertical diagonal, because I'm cutting it this way. So I'm working my way, and I'm just kind of coming in on vertical sections. And I've always learned that like vertical sections really works well when it comes to blending and connecting and having a nice flow to the hair. So I want to keep a nice flow, which is what we're doing here. And now, because we cut that one side over here, that corner, it actually makes life so much easier to blend and connect everything, because we already did it on the one side. So now it's just a matter of working our way down and following the head shape and pulling everything straight out from the head. And there, I can comb it down, and look, it's got a beautiful, nice flow to it right into here, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. So I'm going to continue this, and I'm just going to change my body position to where I'm now coming over the top this way slightly, and I'm going to continue to follow the pattern. And don't be afraid to change body position. Don't be afraid to, you know, move your hands in a certain way. And that's what happens after hair cutting. And I see so many barbers, particularly barbers that are doing men's haircuts, you know, they'll take 45 minutes to do one section, you know, 19 clips. Everything has to look so crazy. And I would have cut at least 5 sections of the hair by the time they even do one, just because if they want it to look pretty. You know, I mean, I get that. It's like all fun for show, but to me, I'm all about like cutting efficiently and effectively. So, you know, I'm more of a free-flowing yet organized hair cutter myself. You know, I like to be aggressive. I like to work through the hair. I like to see the hair flow. I like to see the hair, you know, if you're so restricted and like everything has to be like, you know, okay, taking this one section like this, and it took me 45 minutes to, you know, create this one panel right here, and, you know, I spend so much time just to get it to look like this, you know, like, it's like, okay, well, cool, but like, I do this, and if it's not perfect, you know, then I have to spend another 45 minutes trying to get to, it's, to me, I'm more about like, all right, I know what I did, I know where I sectioned the hair, you know, all right, let's go, let's get it done, let's get through this, because I'm all about being more efficient and effective. Because hair, you want to keep it moving, right? Hair doesn't just stay in one place, you know, all day long. You know, sometimes your hair is going to be moving around a little bit. You're going to be moving around, you know, the wind, whatever, like the elements. You're going to run your fingers through your hair. So I like to make sure that I'm being very technical, and you do want to be very technical, but at the same time, you want to also be realistic. All right, so now, once again, here we go. We're approaching the sides right in through here. There it is. And because I cut the side first, I'm able to pick up the pieces and connect the dots right into here. So that's going to allow me to then say, oh, okay, there's my guide. The flow is ready to go. All right, just think that in your head. The flow is ready to go. All right, here we go. Now, once again, I'm working in going diagonal, like vertical diagonal, which means I'm cutting on kind of this way. Again, this to me makes it a lot more efficient, and it also helps you have a different approach on the hair itself. So you see, I brushed the hair out of the way, and now I'm combing it, and then I'm cutting it. Brush the hair out of the way, I'm combing and cutting. So I'm constantly moving. And if you feel like, if you're a professional watching this, and chances are, I would say majority of you are going to be like customers or clients watching this, so all this technical stuff may just be kind of like amusing and interesting to you. But, you know, I'm a professional hairstylist, and I'm used to teaching and training professionals. So for me, if you're a consumer or client watching this, this probably is meaningless to you. However, if you just like to watch this so you understand the art of hair cutting and the approach that certain professionals take, then that's cool. And I'd appreciate in the comments below if you let me know, like, hey, I'm a client and I watch this stuff, but I love watching and hearing the technical stuff because it helps me achieve better haircuts. Maybe when you go to a place, right, and you go to a barber, you go to a hairstylist, you know, instead of focusing so much on the name of a haircut, you know, or just show, like I say, show them a photograph, you can compare and watch what they're doing technically. And if you observe them technically and you're like, oh, this guy or this person knows what they're doing, this is incredible, you know, or you may then say, wow, this person like is doing this all wrong. My hair's getting completely butchered. I'm witnessing it. You know, this may give you a better insight into understanding haircutting, you know. But again, I'm trained to teach professionals. If you are a professional hairstylist or a barber, you know, this is going to come in very, very handy because a lot of times barbers may not, you know, be able to execute these types of layered basic haircuts, you know, or they may just take clippers, or they may be the ones doing the 19 different sections on the hair, and it's like, you know, you spent 45 minutes doing that. Meanwhile, you could have had like 8 sections cut, you know. So now what I'm doing is we're working in the occipital bone area, and if you're somebody who has a flat back of the head, you know, then you need to create a little bit of roundness in through here. And the way you do, and the way the stylist does that or the barber does that, is they have to make sure that they're pulling the hair out and they're leaving a little bit of graduation into here, which means that they actually have to leave some length where it's flat. Now, because this hair, this mannequin doesn't have a flat back of the head, or at least it's not like an issue, I'm not doing that. But if you do have a flat back of the head and you want this type of haircut, the stylist needs to understand, and you have to tell them, say, hey, look, the back of my head is very, very flat, and I'm looking for a little more volume there. I need to be a little more fuller. Don't expect them to give you the haircut you're looking for or address that problem if you don't let them know. So you have to let them know, like, hey, I want my hair to be a little fuller into here because it's very flat back here, so they have to cut it a certain way. So now that I'm done with the entire back, I'm just going to cross-check like this. You know, checking is important. I think it looks phenomenal. I'm happy with how it looks. It's time to blend the back into the top. So he did have a side parting kind of off to the side here. But what I'm doing here is I'm following the head shape, and I'm following the head, cutting it how it grows out from the hair. Okay? And one thing to keep in mind is that hair doesn't grow straight up from the scalp, it grows out from the scalp. And if you want a haircut that's going to really, really grow out well, and you want a haircut that's going to last a long time, then I would suggest making sure you tell that person cutting your hair, saying, you know, I like the layers to be a bit more rounded and just kind of natural, so cut it as it grows out from the head. They should know that already, but chances are they may not. All right, so here we go. So now we're connecting this. The best way to connect, and I do this in all my videos, the back to the top is to cut vertically. And if you see what happens, all this hair was already cut. So I let that drop out and then I cut. And I've been doing this for years upon years upon years. I love this method of cutting because you're now blended fully. You're blended fully and you can move forward. And here is where I'm going to cut horizontally. So the top of the head and the way I cut hair is based off of the top, the corners, and the sides. So we're cutting the top first. The top is basically eyebrow to eyebrow, then the corners is where the head rounds out, and then the sides. So because we've already connected the top, I'm going to pull this hair up, and there is my guide. So I'm cutting my guide because I've already established that, and I'm cutting horizontally now. I'm not cutting the top vertically. So there is my section and my guide from the previous, and this literally becomes a plug-and-play type of scenario when you're cutting. I mean, you're following the guide and you're working your way towards the front. Depending on how thick the hair is, that will determine the thickness of the section. But here we go in the very, very front. And in this situation, I will actually pull the hair slightly back a little over direction. So I am cutting this up, but I'll show you how to remove that weight in the next, when we get back to the final part of the cut. All right, so I did over-direct it, pulling it back, which leaves length. So now it's time to do the corners. The corners is here. The hair grows out, 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 out. Okay, that's the way the hair grows. So we're gonna follow that pattern. There's the corner. It's gonna be those longer pieces right in through there. And there it is. Now, I know some people may be saying like, oh, if you're a professional watching this, oh, I cut it square. I think it looks better that way. Blah, blah, blah. Well, does your hair grow in a square shape or is it more of a rounded shape? So to me, naturally, it's more of a rounded shape. And that's why I cut it that way. It's going to grow out looking the best. It may look good right there on the spot, but guess what? In about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now, when that weird shape starts to grow in because you left the corners and it's too heavy and doesn't have that right flow, then the client's hair isn't going to look good. And then it's going to be like, oh, my haircut only looks good for 2 weeks, and they have to come back. It's kind of like a money grab. You're trying to get people to come back sooner, but I always go for the long run, and I want my haircuts to look good, for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. That's why I cut it more following the head shape, right, which is out from the head. So here I am in the sides, and I'm just basically pulling the hair straight out. And what I am going to do here is I'm going to brush his hair out of the way, and I'm going to hold the hair on a slight vertical, and I'm just going to create a nice little trim and flow right in through here because I feel like I want to just take down these sides a little bit shorter. So I've changed my hand positioning slightly, and I'm going palm to palm here. And all this is doing, it's not really disrupting any of this. It's just creating a nicer flow for me. But keep in mind, the actor, his hair is on the thicker side, right? So it is important to make sure that the hair is still thick. And especially if it's portrayed as wearing a toupee or a wig, right? Those tend to be a lot thicker than normal. So what I've done here is I've maintained that fullness and that consistency right in through here. And notice I haven't even cut the front yet. But now it's time to do the other side. So we're going to do the corners on the other side. I'm going to stand right here. There's the corner. Boom. And it's usually going to be a longer piece. I mean, you're not going to miss it. There it is right there. Working our way to towards the front of the head. Also, let me know in the comments below if you enjoy these longer tutorials, right? These longer step-by-steps. I know this is kind of like my OG content of how I first started doing YouTube years and years and years ago, was doing in-depth haircuts like this on like high-profile individuals or actors, things like that. Let me know if you enjoy this stuff. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. That would be awesome. I'm always, my subscriber count is always going up, but I'm really, I want to get more of you viewing my videos, you know? That's important to me. So, brushing the hair back, let's turn around this way, and there it is. It's looking pretty much perfect. Now, as we get to the front, let's go back to the front again. I mentioned when I first started cutting that I did like the length in the front, but let's just comb this all straight down. If there's any little pieces here that need to be trimmed up, then let's go ahead and trim them up right here. Okay. On this side, it's okay to trim those little dead ends, you know. All right, so next, this is the trick I was going to show you all of how to make sure that everything is even Steven and how to remove that weight, right? So now I'm pulling the hair straight out from where it grows, not up, and I'm cutting and removing that weight right there. Okay, here we go, straight out from the head, and there it is. And it's just cutting a little bit. I'm not trying to remove a lot of, you know, length, or I'm just trying to really make sure this is all connected. And this is a great way to do it. So combing the hair straight up and cutting everything vertically. And this is a great way to check to make sure it's all balanced, right? And that's why I'm saying, like, you can't cut hair and take 45 sections and spend 3 hours cutting one area and trying to get everything to lay perfectly, because that's not how hair moves, right? I want the hair to be flowing. I want the hair to be free. Check out this comb. This is my carbon comb. It is available at shop.thesalonguy.com. And all my tools are available, like my hair cutting comb, my scissors, products, all of it. It's all available at shop.thesalonguy.com. But this is a great comb to kind of comb through all this. And I think this is looking pretty much identical to his hair. Yep. All right, and I like combing through this just to get all the knots or anything out. So now I'm going to go in with my #1 best-selling product, Tidal Wave. I think this is going to give the hair a nice little amount of texture. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't need a lot. So now when it comes to styling, the majority of this is going to be done with my hands. So I'm going to blow dry it utilizing my blow dryer. And I am going to make sure, and you need to make sure that when you're using this, if you do have this dryer, it comes with this magnetic attachment. All right? It comes with the magnetic attachment. You need to use the nozzle right here. This comes with the nozzle because it's going to direct the heat and it's going to help with the blow dry. So we're going to do this in real time. Let's go. All right, so let's take a look at this haircut. We'll get a little bit closer in through here. So let's bring this over slightly because he did have it kind of coming over a little bit like this. And this is crazy, right? So once again, explaining the whole haircut it came out exactly how I wanted it to. You can see it's got a nice flow to it. Okay, now again, there were a couple times where he did have a bit more of an extreme, parting, right, over this way, or it did fall a little bit more, kind of like a little more separation in through here, which you can get from, just kind of piecing everything out with this brush. If you wanted to make it not so heavy in the front, you can brush the top over a bit more, right, in through here. Brush it all the way over and just have some pieces come down like this. If you wanted to make it a little bit softer throughout the front here. But yeah. Now, if you want to go a little bit shorter, you can. I just, because of the forehead on this mannequin, it's so small, the forehead. If you have a higher forehead, then it's all going to, be fine. But look, this is a short forehead. So if I cut it too short, it's not going to have any flow to it. It's going to look ridiculous. But I think this came out pretty good. And in all honesty, if you want to, lock in the hair a little bit, you can use my Locked Excel hairspray or my Locked hairspray. But if you want it to hold slightly, right? Let's just say you're doing something for, I don't know, cosplay for Halloween or something like that, Then you can spray it in like that. And yeah, and you'd be good to go. But I think this came out pretty accurate in my opinion. I do hope you all enjoyed this, to be honest with you. I had a lot of fun doing this. And yeah, let me know what you all think. If you want to use any of my products, you can use code YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. Again, that's YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.